Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm David Knight. It's Monday, February the 24th, 2014, and here are our top stories.
Tonight, angry Ukrainians put out a warrant for their own president. Then, what the FDA's new regulations could mean for organic food in the U.S. And gun control backfires on Piers Morgan. That's next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
This will be a day long remembered. We've seen the end of Morgan. We'll soon see the end of CNN.
Well, Piers Morgan and Obama are learning the true meaning of blowback. As Piers Morgan's ratings fall to the cellar and his show gets canceled, Obama is seeing gun sales rise to the highest level they've been. And of course, the Supreme Court is sitting on the sidelines quibbling about the semantics of the Second Amendment. Now, in this story today from Paul Joseph Watson on InfoWars, it says Piers Morgan admits gun control advocacy led to his show being axed. Now, if you remember, Alex is about the only blip that he's had in his show in a constant downturn since he took it over. But the very fact that he wouldn't have Alex back on the show showed that they really weren't concerned about news or ratings, simply about pushing their agenda. And they didn't think they did a very good job of that either. Now look at his comments. He said, "I'm a British guy debating American cultural issues, including guns." Well, you know what? There's a lot more than just cultural issues involved. Yes, there is a cultural difference. They've done a lot to make people afraid of gun owners and afraid of guns, but it's far more than that. As Alex pointed out, it's about our fundamental rights. It's about keeping this country safe from criminals as well as from tyrants. And really, Piers Morgan is nothing other than just a tool. It's pretty clear when he got a free pass from both the U.S. and the U.K. government, even though he is involved in a wiretapping scandal, one that he was masterminding at the newspaper where he was an editor, and he gets a free pass. He gets to leave the country, come over here, not get extradited. Alex is going to have a lot more about this at the end of the show, so stay tuned. He's going to tell you what this tells us about CNN and the rest of the mainstream media. Now, as far as Obama and firearms sales, they're going through the roof, as we all know last year. We've now seen the sales figures from 2012 released by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And we see that just in the first 4 years, from 2009 to 12, that he's sold more firearms than were sold by the entire 8 years of the Bush administration. So he sold about 25 million. Actually, it's about the same amount, 25 and 26. But in 2013, if you look at this graph at the bottom of the article there, you can see that's going straight up, and they say, wait until you see the figures for 2013. Well, of course, we all know that. You couldn't get guns, you couldn't get ammunition. If you were in the market, you certainly know that. And things are changing now at the state level. As we pointed out in an article today, there's a pushback at Missouri. They're starting to exercise their 10th Amendment rights against overreach by the federal government. But of course, the Supreme Court is not necessarily going to be our ally on this. We've had two Supreme Court decisions back in 2008 and then 2010 that came down on the right side that says, yes, the right of the people is an individual right. It's not a collective right. It's not something that you get for being in the National Guard. They came down on the right issue of that in both Washington, D.C. and Heller versus D.C. and in Chicago, McDonald versus Chicago. That second case was to establish that it was a right everywhere, not just in the District of Columbia. So now they're looking at other aspects. They wanted to get them to take a look at the carry aspect of it. What does it mean to bear arms now that we have had their pronouncement that it's an individual right, even though, of course, Washington, D.C. and Chicago have found other ways to infringe those rights? And that's another discussion we'll have to have as to what exactly does the word infringe mean. We certainly know what it means because we've seen the governments doing it. But they have rejected hearing a couple of court cases that people were hoping would bring the issue up of what it means to bear arms. But these two cases, actually there was 3 cases, I believe, but a couple of them were questioning the rights to withhold firearms from people between the ages of 18 and 21, even though they're old enough to fight in the Army. Now, there are still other open carry cases that are going to be coming before the Supreme Court for review. There was Peruta versus the County of San Diego, which just happened February the 13th. A lot of people feel that that, as well as some other cases, may be heard. But this article that came out yesterday, where a former Supreme Court justice wants to add 5 words to the Second Amendment. This is reported from BizPac Review. You know what? The Supreme Court justices just don't get it. they don't get to amend the Second Amendment. That's not how it gets amended. There is a constitutional process, and it's not by a Supreme Court decision. And he lost this argument in both 2008 and 2010. Heller and McDonald, he lost the argument that says the right of the people to keep and bear arms when serving in the militia. Those are the words that he wants to add. He wants to make it a condition of serving in the militia. Well, the militia isn't something you serve in. The militia is the people. That's why it is a right of the people.
The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.